Welcome to the Financial Flossing Podcast with Ross Brannan, guiding dental professionals to a brighter future. Ross Brannan is a financial advisor who knows it's not just about your teeth. He helps dental practice owners protect and maximize today's cash flow to plan for tomorrow's cash needs. Find him at rossbrannan.com. On the show, he brings together experts to help dental professionals looking to make smart money decisions to grow their income, turn their retirement goals into reality, and improve their lives. And now, here's your host, Ross Brannan.
Welcome to the show. My guest today is Arsalan Ashraf. Arsalan is a practicing CPA based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. His firm, Ashraf Advisory, specializes in working with healthcare professionals across the country. His firm provides a full range of accounting, bookkeeping, consulting, and outsourcing payroll and business and services. Today, he is our guest on Financial Flossing. Arsalan, welcome to the show.
Ross, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so, I know CPAs who say, when you ask one piece of advice, what you give them, they say, don't be a CPA. So how did you end up a CPA? What happened?
Yeah, so, out of college, it's something that I wanted to do and, really wanting to help people, seeing, folks across the board needing that sort of service and getting more advice from the front end on how to set things up correctly. And just wanted to help people that generally don't learn money and taxes and everything in college have a good start and once their careers start off.
Yeah, you see that a lot. A lot of healthcare professionals, they go to school for a long time and they learn a lot, but they don't typically learn much about finances or running a business or things in that area. So it sounds like you really kind of can be the all-in-one service provider for them for their business. Is that right?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to have experiences in previous workplaces where I was able to get a lot of client interaction and being able to see my work make a difference on the front end really early on in my career. That's sort of what made me stay. But yeah, that's one of the things I focus on is making sure there's an all-in solution for folks like that.
What do you see the biggest challenge for your clients?
The biggest challenge I would say is especially for my self-employed clients, is being set up correctly, their entity structure, and really making sure there's a connection between them and their financial advisors to make sure there's just a holistic approach to their business, their taxes, and their overall financial plan.
Yeah, I like to say a dollar taken back from the IRS tends to be one of the best rates of return that you can get on that dollar. How important is it to maximize deductions? And I guess, how often do you see people not maximize those deductions?
I would say it's very important. I'm a big fan of not spending $1 to save 37 cents. That's always been my philosophy.
That's fantastic advice right there, because you're in the minority. There's a lot of CPAs who will do that. Hey, go buy a new piece of equipment, go buy a new truck, and whether you need it or not. Yeah, that's great advice by itself right there.
Exactly. Yeah, I focus on making sure what's maximized is maximized, making sure we're grabbing any expenses that you would otherwise have that are business related. And really in terms of planning, so if there is new equipment that needs to be purchased, make sure we do that in a strategic manner, make sure we get good rates if we're financing that, and really being involved in those day-to-day decisions.
Yeah, that's really, really good right there. What do you see that most people are getting right out there from an accounting tax perspective?
From accounting, what I see most people getting right would be focusing on maximizing top line income. So rather than, curbing expenses as much as possible, which is good, to a degree, they're more focused on bringing in higher revenue.
Yeah, obviously there's always two ways to grow bottom line revenue is cut expenses or increase top line revenue, and doing both is great. So you work with a lot of healthcare professionals. You have a lot of physicians. You have dentists. You have physicians who own their own practice. You have W-2 physicians. You have 1099 physicians. What do you see happening in healthcare? In your experience, you've been doing this for upwards of a decade now. What do you see from a trend standpoint in the healthcare industries?
What I'm seeing, is quite a bit of, with inflation, sort of everything is going up. But I've noticed physician pay is not going up at those same rates. So that's one of the things that I have seen a bigger shift in certain groups going more toward 1099 and self-employed, and you know a few other groups going the opposite direction and more corporate medicine being involved and having large W-2 doctors as well. So I've been seeing it both ways, but primarily in specific fields where there's specializations required, I've been noticing there's more self-employed folks getting in that realm.
Yeah, I was talking with a client this morning, and they're in the healthcare world, and they have not received a raise in 9 years, which to me is one of the things that I always think is a great idea is owning a practice, whether you're regardless of what area of healthcare you're in, but owning a practice is the best way. Obviously, most dentists, associate dentists, work on production, which is another way of saying you eat what you kill, or you could say commission, but they don't like to say it that way. But it's kind of the same thing. But owning your own practice definitely changes the dynamic of dealing with inflation versus being a W-2 employee. And obviously, a 1099 employee, if you're getting paid on production, has its benefits as well. You can deduct obviously a lot more than you could as a W-2, but you're going to pay the double payroll tax. What do you see as the biggest area of improvement that a lot of your clients can make?
The biggest area of improvement, I would say, it's going back to the foundation and making sure once they started being self-employed, they were set up correctly in terms of taxes. So what I mean by that is, there's certain states that don't allow limited liability companies to own practices. There's certain states that have corporations be the only way to do business. And the way they're structured, there's lots of opportunities in terms of being an S corporation or a C corporation or owning it personally that, unfortunately, a lot of folks that they don't have that foundation set up correctly from the get-go. So what that does is it limits how much take-home pay there is and the tax of that take-home pay. So sometimes there's double tax being paid on that take-home pay.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, taxes are rough enough, much less double taxes.
Um,
Yeah. So how in the weeds are you getting in the client's personal finances? Are you seeing that your clients, that inflation's affecting them? Are you seeing that they're able to save a lot of money? Do you get that in the weeds with them?
yeah, so fortunately, the clients I'm working with, they're able to go ahead and really be ahead of inflation in terms of their income is so high that they are feeling the effects of inflation, but at the same time, it's not anything detrimental to their lifestyle or anything of that nature. They're seeing a lot of, when COVID happened, it was one of those things where the first few months, everything went downhill. And then once things started to open back up, even in certain states, things recovered pretty quickly for them. So by the end of 2020, they were somewhere in that same spot that they would have been for the full year. So it's almost they worked more the back half of the year to make up for everything. But since that's happened, throughout 2021, throughout 2022, there's been a lot of volume. So now it's the challenge that they're facing is staffing challenges, being able to find staff, and then the salaries for staff is going up as well across the board.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people who had their best year in 2020, and then they had an even better year in 2021, which is really, really shocking. But yes, finding staff I've seen is so hard, and you've got to kind of pony up the pay to get quality people. And that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of people shift to fee for service, or at a minimum reduce their insurance and start doing part of their practice fee for service versus just straight insurance. It really is a challenging thing. What are some of the challenges that you see as an accountant working with healthcare professionals?
So as an accountant, some of the challenges I see.
I mean, let me interrupt here. Besides someone giving you all their documents on April 14th and saying, have it ready for me.
What I see is really wanting to go ahead and get started and stick to a plan sometimes is tough. So I'm a big fan of automation. So to the extent things can be automated, I like that. So to give you an example, a lot of self-employed folks, their taxes aren't being paid throughout the year. So
Right.
what I like to do is I like to have those paid by either monthly or quarterly, ideally monthly, so it's built into their cash.
So they don't get a nice big bill at the end of the year. That's a smart idea. I mean, because human nature spends that money.
Yep, exactly. And along the same lines with those taxes, same with retirement contributions. To the extent those could be paid evenly or somewhat throughout the year is good. Now, a lot of folks they have better years in December and in November. At the same time, for most of them, they're able to cover that tax throughout the year. But to the extent it's not possible, then I can provide estimates as well for that last quarter. But I like to get ahead of the game rather than be behind the eight ball when it comes to paying for taxes in April.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. That's absolutely a good idea. So, do you find that a lot of these clients think they understand the tax code, but they really don't once they sit there and talk with you?
I mean, I have sort of both types of clients. Either I have some clients that, they want to know how the clock is made, and I'm happy to break down each detail and explain to them. And I enjoy, explaining the tax code and learning the nuances or explain to them the nuances of that. And then I have other folks that are more, just tell me what time it is. So I work with both sets of people, and I enjoy working with both. And they have their different challenges and different aspects there. But the ones I do have, it's more lots of questions that come up, and that's where I come in. So the way I work with my clients is I'm available for any routine consultations they have throughout the year. So any questions they have, I get back to them in a good period of time, generally under 24 hours. So I'll have a lot of doctors that are focused on their shifts. They'll have back-to-back shifts, and then a question will pop up, and it's one of those things that if they don't get an answer to, they'll sort of forget about it. So it's mainly following up on that, making sure that's covered, and they have a plan to take care of that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. What do you see from the future? Like I ask this to every CPA, do you think that we are in the lowest tax rates that we're going to see in our lifetime?
I think we are in those lowest tax rates.
I mean, obviously, the rates go up automatically in like 3.5 years to the pre-Trump tax rates, which would go from 37 to 39.6. But
Hmm.
so obviously, it's important to mitigate our taxes, but obviously the long-term taxes. Now, what do you see as so let's go on three different ways, three different subjects here. So because you have all three. From a W-2 standpoint, what's the best strategy for reducing taxes?
So for W-2, for a good chunk of it, you're sort of cut off at the knees in terms of tax deductions. It's tough to do tax deductions as a W-2 employee.
I
With
argue
that
that the
said,
W-2 is the worst way to get paid in the United States.
yeah, I mean, it has benefits, it definitely has, and them being healthcare for one. But outside of that, in terms of deductions and in terms of being able to plan for taxes, it's tough. With W-2, your options are more limited into making sure the 401k or 403b contributions are
Max,
maximized.
max out your retirement plan, and
Yeah,
then if you give enough money away, then you might actually be able to use your mortgage interest because of the standard deduction. So,
exactly. Yeah.
what about 1099s?
So for 1099s, there's quite a bit more, in addition to retirement plan, whereas as a W-2 employee, you might be putting in 20,500. As a 1099 worker, you could put in closer to 61,000, depending on how much income is and what we do for salary. So off the bat, it gives more in the way of a deduction. And we were talking about taxes. There's ways to structure that. So some of it is Roth, so you don't get a tax benefit now, and some of it is tax, with the tax benefits, you sort of get the best of both worlds almost, and hedge your way of taxes and if they go up and what rate you are in the future. And really across the board, deducting health insurance, making sure that's deducted. I've seen folks where that's not deducted, which is a pretty large expense, as you know.
Yes, for sure. So, someone who owns their own practice, in your experience, what's their best deduction strategy?
The way I try to I give a sheet of deductions that will cover, in terms of home office deduction, cell phone, home internet, making sure all the facility expenses are being deducted. If there's continuing ed that they're going to, making sure the travel on that is deducted. Really across the board, getting any expenses that could be considered convertible expenses or expenses that are related to their business that they would otherwise pay to get those, rather than going ahead and racking up expenses just to deduct them.
No, yeah, for sure. Makes sense. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, if they said, I like this Arsalan guy, I like the way he talks, how would they get in touch with you?
So on my website, I have a Calendly where an appointment can be set at ashrafadvisory.com, or
All right, so spell that out. Spell out your website for everyone.
It's ASHRAF advisory.com.
And so they can just go on the website and book an appointment with you and talk with you and find out if, you guys are a fit to work together.
Yep.
That's great. Any other ways of getting in contact with you that they should know about?
Yeah, email is good as well.
What's your email?
My email is Arsalan, Arsalan, at Ashraf, ASHRAF, advisory.com.
Perfect. So you can go to his website, or you can email him directly, guys. If you need to talk to a CPA, Arsalan's an option for you guys. Arsalan, this has been a very interesting conversation. I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much, Ross, for having me.
You've been listening to the Financial Flossing Podcast with Ross Brannan.
This has been another episode of Financial Flossing with Ross Brannan, guiding dental professionals to a brighter future. If you liked what you heard, consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. For more on Ross Brannan, visit rossbrannan.com.
Registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ, 3664 Coolidge Court, Tallahassee, Florida, 32311, 850-562-9075. Securities products and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA SIPC. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. North Florida Financial is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. California Insurance License Number 0L10073. Arkansas Insurance License Number 161-39032. 2021 119535. Expires 423. That last part can also say 2021 119535. Expiration April 2023.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PAS, Guardian, or North Florida Financial, and opinions stated are their own. Ross is a registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAs, OSJ, 3664 Coolidge Court, Tallahassee, Florida, 32311, 850-562-9075. Securities products and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA, SIPC, financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian North Florida Financial, is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. AR Insurance License Number 161390032. California Insurance License Number 0L10073. 2022-141994, expire 824.